when I get a mix from somebody and I'm starting from scratch, yeah, you know what? I'll start with drums, but it's not like I'm gonna finish the drums before moving on to the bass. I'll get the drums sounding good and where I feel inspired and exciting, and it has kind of the sonic signature that I envision for it.
Cool.
Then my next thing I usually go for once I got the drums is then I'll usually go to guitars.
Okay.
If it's like big rhythm guitars. And the one thing that I used to do, and I got out of it, broke the habit, partially because I do a lot of my cleanup with the filters, is what I would do is I'd make the guitars really big, and then there'd be no room for the bass, or then it would get really muddy. So when I'm mixing in the guitars, I have to keep in mind that the track is not supposed to now start to sound big. This is the mid-range. This is the meat of the mid-range of the song, of that part. So when I put the guitars in, I'm not so worried about them filling up that big hole. I'm almost listening for the opposite. I'm almost listening for like, okay, now where is that hole between the drums and the guitars that I can put the bass? Let me give you a quick example on this.
Cool.
Just so we can hear a track here. Here we've got the chorus. Let's go to my pre-roll. So if I mute the bass, I'm going to mute those drums and so I can hear everything really well. I'm not super concerned with, does the guitar need to come up a dB or whatever. Like I'm not like getting into that yet. I'm just like, how do I make this? Like if you had 3 minutes to put together a rough mix for a live show, like what would that be? And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just going through and doing stuff real fast. All solo stuff, it's almost like, actually the live scenario is almost, it's kind of a good analogy. The first part of my mix is almost like a sound check.
Okay.
Hey drummer, hit the kick drum. Kick, kick, kick. Make sure my level's good. Get my EQ kind of the way I want. Where, I know what the song's going to sound like. I know the band, they're going to play the song, but let's just get everything. So that's kind of my how I start a mix is kind of like my sound check. So I'll go in, and let me just turn off automation here for a second, and I'll pull all this stuff down. That way we can kind of do it on the spot here. Those two. So I'll just go through, and I just kind of one element at a time. I'll just go through and yeah, okay, cool. If there's something that I think this needs, it's like, a little too much bottom end, a little too much top end, whatever. So I'm making adjustments, and you're like, well, why are you making a high-end adjustment? You have nothing to base it off of. And it's like, well, I know what a kick drum sounds like. I know what I want to hear. I'll get it sounding that way as a starting point, just the way live engineer does a sound check. And then once everybody's together, then I'll start going and making my adjustments.
Okay.
So I'll literally go through the track, and I'll just start throwing stuff up like this. Ribbon. Right, so then I got that, and it's like, okay, cool. Does that sound good? Yep, good enough to move on. And obviously I've got plugins and everything already on there, but I would go through that process. I'd carve some stuff out. I'd make the drum kit as a whole work nicely together as a starting point. I'm not going to do automation. I'm not going to get in there and start really getting crazy with it quite yet. Then I'll bring in, my guitars. So here, I'll just turn some stuff off here. Probably not a lot of grasping keyboard on here. Yeah, I mean, the guitars were recorded really well, and the sound, you could tell they spent time on it. I mean, I'm barely doing I'm not doing a lot of EQ here. I am doing some EQ on my guitar bus. I think I did some MS EQ on this actually. Yeah, I did. So this was kind of a cool trick to do. Gives it a little bit of a different spread. So for MS might be a little advanced for some people, but it's basically like, here's a plugin that lets you EQ the middle information differently than the sides. So with guitars, that's something that I'll do is I'll carve out the mono section a little bit differently than I'll carve out the middle section. So you've got a little bit of a different thing going on. So this is how.
Is this mid-side processing on your entire guitar bus or on the guitars individually?
Well, in this particular case, it's my rhythm guitar bus.
Okay.
So I've got the two I've got a rhythm with a double that are both pan hard left, hard right. Mm-hmm. So that's our mid EQ, and that's our side EQ. So, and again, this is after it's been tweaked. But if you listen to the side, you've got a lot more mid-range, there's a lot more bite. And in the middle, a lot more carved out in the middle. Well, what needs to fit in the middle? That's also in the mid frequencies that eats up a lot of space. A vocal. So by doing this, it's kind of a neat trick that will let you kind of get the best of both worlds. It will let you get that mid-range bite, but it's only going to be on the outsides. And carve out the middle a little bit, so that way you make the room for your vocal.